praise be to Jesus Christ, and welcome to Catholic Forum. I'm your host, Deacon Jim Thorndell. I want to welcome all those who are joining us on public TV and those who might be listening to us on podcast. I would imagine somewhere around your parish or some vicinity, you probably see a fraternity of men who just might be handing out some Tootsie Rolls once in a while, and you're kind of wondering who they might be. Well, you know, this is a group of men, a fraternity of men who really have a beautiful mission of really charity in their life, and they are what they are, who are the Knights of Columbus. And today I have with me the state deputy, Rob Fox, with me.
Glad to meet you, Deacon.
Bob, it's good to have you
here.
here.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you having you here. You know, this is the Knights of Columbus are a powerful organization. Been around a long time.
Long time.
And, you know, we see them, and as I said, I was kidding about the Tootsie Roll, but that really is a mark of the Knights.
That's the most visible time you'll see us, is the Tootsie Roll drives either in the spring or the fall, or the fourth degree, the gentleman with the naval chapeau and the capes and the swords.
Exactly.
Other than that, we're kind of behind the scenes.
Let's see if we can get you a little bit from behind the scenes right now, because I would like our viewers to understand who the Knights are first. Give us a little bit of history of the Knights.
Well, we started, Father McGivney, Michael J. McGivney, a young Irish priest, 1882, New Haven, Connecticut. He saw a need for the Irish immigrants. When the breadwinner died, there was nothing for the family. So he started an organization. They called it the Knights of Columbus, where monies would be collected and saved, and when the breadwinner did die, they would give the family some aid and money and keep them going that way.
Okay.
And it kept growing over the years and growing over the years to the point right now where it's 1.8 million worldwide, 14,000 councils, and here in Michigan we have 67,000 Knights with 400 plus councils.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Let me get a little bit of the sense why you entered into it. What drew you into the Knights?
Oh, maybe 20 years ago, 25, I'd been involved in a number of men organizations, hunting type organizations, fishing organizations, and it was just me. And there was always something, you know. And a friend of ours, he was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and every now and then he would talk about it, and then I seen him at church, and one day he says, "Bob, why don't you join the Knights of Columbus?" And I never hesitated.
Jumped right in.
Jumped right in. And he mentored me for probably 6 months, saw that I had my feet on the ground.
Okay.
I became an officer in the council, went through the different chairs in the council, became a district deputy, and then a diocesan director, and then somebody whispered in my ear, said, "You ought to run for state office." And I did, and I'm on my last 2 years of a 10-year commitment.
Wow.
It takes a while.
It does.
But it's been quite a ride. The things that I have witnessed that the Knights of Columbus do is just amazing.
Yeah, I would think so. You know, I think that's important that our viewers understand it too. The amount of things you do behind the scene that are never, we don't have that appreciation for it. We need to talk a little bit about that tonight, because first of all, before we go there, what does it take to become a Knight? What are the criteria to become a Knight?
You need to be a practical Catholic.
Okay.
And a man,
You know,
a gentleman.
people are going to say, what is a practical Catholic? So let's kind of, now you didn't say practicing, you said practical. So in other words, there has to be somebody who...
You believe in the decrees of the Holy See.
Okay.
You attend church. And you have to be a gentleman of 18 years or older.
18 years or older, okay. And so then they can at least make an application for the Knights of Columbus.
Correct.
Wonderful. How long does it take for the first process to become a Knight?
Once you sign the Form 100, which is the initiation form, they generally try to schedule a degree within 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's your first degree. And then from that, it depends on how long you want to wait. Some gentlemen will wait a year. Some will take their second and third degree right away. Third degree is the highest you can go in the order, other than they call the fourth degree, which is really the patriotic degree.
Okay.
If you want to join that, some gentlemen don't, but a lot of guys do.
Okay. You get the first degree. Is there any particular, do they have to perform at any particular level? Do they have to attend all the meetings? I mean, what would be the... I mean, you want them to, obviously.
Yes, we ask them to attend as many meetings as they can.
Okay.
And we ask them to pick one of the programs that we're involved in.
Okay.
We don't expect you to do every program a council puts on
Right.
or every program that the state puts on, but pick something you want to get involved with, maybe a youth program or a family program or a church program.
Yeah.
Pick something that you can get involved in The more you're involved, the more you experience,
Sure.
the more you want to do.
Okay.
And that was my case. The more I did, I just kept, I wanted more, I wanted more.
Yeah, yeah. That's wonderful, isn't it? You know, and you talked about the four different, I'm saying the achievement, not the achievements, but the four different focuses of the Knights.
Charity is our number one.
Okay,
And then we have fraternity, unity, and patriotism.
okay, okay. So they could pick one of those.
That's our.
Or would that be the order they go
Those are
into?
our four principles.
Okay, those are your four principles. So if, what, at this point right now, let's take today, we're sitting here, what would be some of the activities that would be going on around the state?
We have community.
Okay,
In the community area, we have blood drives, we have food drives.
okay,
Youth programs, we have a soccer challenge, a free throw challenge, which is basketball.
okay,
A lot of different youth programs that we get involved with.
Yeah.
Family life, we have a camping trip we do. They'll have a bowling.
Yeah.
Different, and it's up to the individual directors that are underneath me, the different programs. Church, right now we're starting on a new program in the church. It's going to be a retreat, maybe a half-day retreat, which will start with a prayer, a welcoming, and then it'll go into a mass of interpretation, which will be the priest will have the group gathered around, and he will explain each part of the mass
Wow.
to the people. And we found out, just as the word has leaked out, that everybody wants to partake in this because
Yes.
I myself, a cradle Catholic, I don't remember all of these parts.
exactly.
And getting the people in, especially the Catholics, that the 2/3 that we talk about that do not attend church on a regular basis,
Yeah.
get them back into the church, get them coming back regularly.
You know, Bob, you make a good point, too, because when you have an understanding, nothing is wasted in the Mass. Nothing is just there for show. Everything has a particular meaning within the context of the liturgy of the Word or the liturgy of the Eucharist, and it all ties together beautifully. But I think as Catholics, sometimes we forget that.
We forget.
Yeah, and so we need to be reminded that why we're there is for that beautiful offer and that beautiful mystery that's happening on the altar. And I think that's a great idea. That's,
Well, you look at even the Catholics that attend on a regular basis, they don't know the names of the utensils used on the altar.
Yeah.
When I was a young boy, we had to draw pictures of each one of those.
Oh.
And everybody, it seems-
patent, the ciborium,
yes,
all those
they've
different
all
things.
forgotten that.
Yeah.
And just to bring that back and get the Catholics excited again, I think if we get the people that are going to church on a regular basis, everybody knows somebody that doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, say, hey, Ed, you know, if you come to church and I'll buy you breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
And get them back to church and work them in. You know, you don't want to take a big step. You know, start little steps. But
Yeah.
get them back in, get them to church on a regular basis.
That's important because, you know, it really is. I mean, I was an altar boy many years ago. Matter of fact, we were still doing prayers in Latin back then. But, you know, needless to say, you know, we really had to learn all the different things around the altar,
Yeah.
from the corporal to the paten to the ciboriums to the chalice and
Yeah.
all those different things. And that becomes important because each one has a tremendous meaning. And I know, haven't the Knights even given some chalices to priests?
We do. The fourth degree especially, and generally even the councils will have a chalice fund.
Yes.
When a member dies, that chalice will be given to the family, and then the family will donate it to a priest here in the United States
Yeah.
or to a priest overseas.
You know, and I don't think people really have an appreciation, and I'm not suggesting that the church is rich, but those chalices don't come cheap. I mean, they're expensive. If you get a chalice that really gives honor to the Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a wonderful sacrifice that the Knights make for these priests and everything else. So thank you for that.
Well, that's one of our principles is we stand in solidarity with our priests and bishops.
Yeah.
We're with them 100%.
Yeah. I know your Supreme Knight is. You see him many times at the Vatican. Carl
yeah.
Anderson.
Carl Anderson.
Yeah, Carl Anderson. He's always one of those front and center when we see the Pope out there on many occasions.
Anything the Vatican needs, the Knights of Columbus will provide. We
Yeah.
just, a number of years ago, we redid the facade of the basilica there.
Yes, yes.
So,
Isn't that wonderful? When we're talking about the Knights now, let's go into what's going on within the state. You said now, I did ask this question once before, and I want to ask this again. It used to be that, you're trying to get away from a little bit of the hall mentality of the
No,
Knights into more parishes?
when Father McGivney started, it was basically, it was parish councils.
Okay.
And at one point it grew to a point where we started getting hall councils. The hall is completely separate from the Columbus.
Would there be different parishes that would come to?
No, you'll have a council, but legalized, the hall is actually a different
Okay.
standalone.
Okay.
And that's where we kind of got the stigma that all Dad did was go down to the Knights of Columbus Hall and drink.
Okay.
But the problem with the hall councils is they spend a lot of their time and energy and money in keeping the hall going.
Yeah.
Whereas a parish council, the gentlemen, the members, they can see the results of their actions right away. They're working with Father, they're working with the parish staff.
Yeah.
Everything is right there. And the parish sees what's going on. So the community comes together and it grows.
I think you said the key word, the parish sees what's going on. When you get to a hall, they miss all that.
They miss it. It completely goes away because, like I say, you go down to the hall and that's your main focus.
Yeah.
The parish should be the focus.
As it migrated from the parish to the hall, would it stay just one parish though, or would other parishes join in coming in together in the hall?
Anybody can go to a hall. Any
Okay.
card-carrying member of Knights of Columbus can go to a hall.
Okay.
And in Grand Rapids, we only have 2 halls. We have the one on Muskegon Street and one here on Clyde Park.
Okay. And they're still active.
They're still active.
Okay.
They do have problems, as most of the halls, but we are losing more and more. The councils are selling the halls,
Yeah.
going back to the parish where they should be, where originally that's what Father McGivney had envisioned.
Yeah. And I would suggest it's very important that we have our priests on board.
Oh, exactly, exactly.
Talk a little bit about that.
If the priest is on board, there's so many things that the council can do. I mean, if he has youth programs or even spiritual programs, the Knights are there to help him.
Yeah.
Some of the priests do have a problem, but that's usually because something happened in the past, and we need to work with them. We don't pressure the priest or
Right.
anything. If they don't want to counsel, we don't.
Right.
That's fine. But whatever the priest wants, we are there for him. We stand in solidarity with him 100%.
How many of the priests are knights? What do they a percentage you could think of?
I would say probably 80% of the priests are
Really?
Knights of Columbus. Yeah.
That's very high. It's
The only
hard-
bishop we do not have that is a Knight of Columbus is Bishop Koviak,
Oh, our new bishop in Grand
our new
Rapids?
bishop.
Oh, we'll get to him.
We're working on it. Yeah.
Now, when all the other bishops, so the 6 dioceses,
Seven.
seven dioceses in the state of Michigan, all these other bishops are on board.
All the bishops are on board.
So, do they come to any of the meetings? Have you seen them at their
Oh
meetings?
yeah, the convention we have at Mackinac Island, we generally have all the bishops there.
Okay.
We probably have in the area of maybe 100-200 priests that come up. We have a large number of clergy that come up to the island.
Okay.
Because we start each day with a mass.
Oh, that's wonderful.
We do.
How many days is that up there?
Generally, the convention itself is 2 days, but everybody comes usually one day.
Now, that's open for all the knights.
all the Knights in Michigan.
All the knights in Michigan that want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
How many years have you been doing that at Mackinac Island?
Since 1954, I
Is
believe.
that right? Isn't that wonderful?
We started out, we take the whole Grand Hotel, and probably 50% of the rest of the hotels on the island.
Yeah.
And we started there, and we stayed there. In fact, at the Grand Hotel, when we started, we were the first convention of the year.
Really?
Our money's paid for the help for the summer.
Oh my goodness.
But now, things have changed. The Grand has a much broader schedule.
Oh, yeah. And what month do you normally go up there?
We go the end of May.
End of May. So it's a beautiful time.
Oh, a beautiful time.
That's a beautiful time. to
We've
be up
only
there.
seen the lilacs once.
Is that right?
'Cause it's usually, we've been up there in snow and rain and cold.
Oh yeah. I've been to Mackinac many times. You never know what you're going to get, but it's
You
always
never know.
beautiful.
Yep.
That's wonderful. So, we're looking at the Knights now in Grand Rapids, or I should say in the state of Michigan. What activities are going on right now? Again, I want to ask, can you think of an activity right now that's ongoing right now that's really generating a lot of interest?
The program right now that's really starting to catch on is the faith of bringing the family back to the church.
Yeah.
The dioceses each have a decree, and Carl Anderson has put out a program where we are involved with the families, bringing the families back to the church, to the Catholic faith.
How's it going to look? How's it going to play out? What'll it look like when you're doing that? Are you still trying to get that?
We're still putting things together. Yeah.
Okay. And Pope Francis was talking about the family. The family.
Well, when I took office, Pope Francis impressed me with his statement that we need to evangelize. We need to evangelize by our actions. We need to bring the family. We need to bring the people back.
Yeah.
And as state deputy, I took that as that's my mission. I want I want the Knights of Columbus to understand that all the programs we have are all faith-based programs. They need to look at them as a form of evangelization, not as something they have to do to win an award.
Right.
The awards are there, that's fine. But if you look at them, that this is a faith program, faith-based, it's going to change their outlook on life. It's going to change their thinking of the church.
Yeah. You know, you said a word that probably strikes a lot of fear in people's hearts: evangelization.
Evangelization.
Because many people sense it's. We talked about that. It's either standing on a street corner or carrying a placard.
Evangelization. They think of somebody down south that's thumping a Bible.
Yeah.
Evangelization. It's simple little things. For example, going to a dinner at a restaurant and blessing yourself and saying grace, folding your hands.
Yeah.
People know that. Well, that man's a Catholic.
Yeah.
And we need to be proud that we're Catholics.
Yeah.
We've hidden our faith for such a long time. Other religions, they're proud of it. You'll see them. But
of course.
The Catholics, for some reason, I don't know if we're ashamed, I hope we're not, but we just kind of hide the fact that we are faith-based, that we need a faith life in Jesus Christ.
That's right.
It's time that we started doing that.
Yeah, and you make a good point because, the sign of the cross is really an understanding of I was baptized in the name of the Father. And so it's renewing really understanding of your baptism too and bringing that along. But as you said, it's really, it's so obvious to those around you that you're Catholic because that blessing is so unique to the Catholic Church. And so how we get people to do that? Probably through strengthening their faith, like learning about the Mass, about learning about life in the church, life as a family life. And those things are all important because that helps to strengthen them and give them that courage.
Just little things like that.
Are you seeing a swing in the mentality of the Knights a little bit in Michigan?
I am now, because going through the different chairs in the state council, I asked the guys around the state, what are you looking for? What do you want?
Yeah.
And faith-based programs were the number one thing they wanted. We want to be Catholic.
Yeah.
We want programs that will expand our Catholic faith. We want a faith life. And our state chaplain, who was Father Ron Hutchinson from Holy Redeemer,
Oh, yes.
he is the one that put me on to the 2/3 of the Catholics that are out there.
Yeah.
He says, we need to concentrate on those. We're speaking to the choir when we do a drive at a church, because those are the people that come every week. We need to concentrate on the people that are out there that are not attending Mass regularly. Get them involved back in the church. Get them a faith life. Let them understand that this is be proud of who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
If they want to join the Knights of Columbus, that's great, but we need to bring them back first.
Yeah, Bob, and I think you're right. First of all, we have to have the men that you have really have a true heart for the church, and they need that catechism. They need to be able to be an apologist, to go out and speak the truth about the church and really answer questions and be able to defend the faith in that way. Because I think many times we get confronted by a fallen away Catholic, and we don't have the answer for them.
We don't have the answer.
And so we don't do them any favors by that, because then they realize, well, you're the same place I'm at.
I've had this experience similar to that with my neighbor. He's on his 4th true church.
Yeah.
And I asked him, "Are you sure it's the true?" "Oh yeah, this is the true church. This is his 4th one."
Yeah.
But he will out-argue me anytime. He knows the Bible.
He knows
better.
Scripture.
He knows everything.
Yeah.
And he and we will get to a point where I just finally say, John, I have to go back inside.
Yeah.
I get frustrated.
Well, does that give you some impetus to say, I need to learn more?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That kind of drives you, doesn't it?
You read that and go, wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, once that happens, you say, well, I gotta know the answer.
Yeah.
And he will take verses from different parts to make his statement.
To build his case.
Yeah, to build his case.
And the one thing we have to understand too is Scripture was never meant for personal interpretation. The Catholic Church has done a marvelous job in interpreting the Bible for us, but we need to learn that. We need to learn that as Catholics, not just as a deacon, not just as a priest, but the lay people really have to have that sense of that, and that's what you're talking about. That catechesis goes a long way in helping the Knights.
Yeah.
I would imagine, too, another important part of the Knights, particularly in today, is getting young men
Oh, yes, very
involved.
We're very involved with the seminarians. Grand Rapids has a tradition of sending theirs to Mundelein
Right.
and up in Minneapolis. I think Gaylord sends a lot of theirs over there. The rest of the diocese send them to Sacred Heart Seminary in
Yep.
Detroit.
Yes.
And being a state officer for 8 years, I've been privileged to watch some of these young men come through, and all of a sudden one day I'm calling them father.
Yeah.
You know, and it's such a great feeling to witness that.
Exactly.
We just had a vocations dinner down in Taylor, Michigan, and there was 12 seminarians that are going to the Holy Land for, they call it the desert trip. And they were such an energetic group of guys, but each one of them told his story, and each one of them heard God calling to them.
Yeah.
They didn't understand it at first, but they heard that. But also, what was very important is each one of them was challenged by a family member or a friend or an acquaintance. You know, just, you'd make a good priest.
Yeah.
And that planted the seed.
It gives them affirmation too. Maybe something they've been thinking about.
Yeah, and once they said, they got to thinking about it, and then each one of them were very well educated.
Yeah.
They had seen different phases of life, and now they've all come back and they're on their way to priesthood.
You know, I have a cousin who's a professor there he teaches homiletics here at Sacred Heart Seminary. His name is Paco. And he gives me great joy and encouragement because he tells me these young seminarians today are really on fire for the Lord.
They are.
It's a different time now in the church because these men are being led by the Spirit and really having a great presence of God in their life. And that's important. Now, how many of those young men will consider becoming a knight on their journey?
The ones out of Sacred Heart Seminary, I'd say most of them do. Probably
Really?
95% of them become
What a
knights.
great testimony.
Yeah.
They see the value
Because
of the
each of
knights.
the seminarians, generally, we have what we call an RSVP program.
Okay.
Whereas we contribute $500 to the RSVP program.
What is that? What does that mean?
I knew you'd ask me that. It's funding for the seminary.
Okay.
And plus that, a lot of the councils will also contribute money to the seminary.
Okay.
So a lot of their education is funded in part by gifts from the Knights of Columbus.
You know, and there's another thing. I don't think the average person sitting in the pew, the parishioner, has any idea of the cost of 1 year
Not at all.
of
They
seminary.
don't have a clue. And then the time.
Yeah.
If you come right out of grade school or right out of high school, it's 8 years
Yeah.
before you become a priest.
That's right. You got minor seminary, and then you go into
Yeah.
and then you go into seminary.
Yeah, the gentleman we seen the other day, they had all, one of them had his PhD, but all of them had already made, their general
Yeah.
degrees, but now they're into the
Into seminary.
seminary.
Now they're going. Yeah.
And what's nice too is it's young men. I know a couple of priests up in Gaylord. They have a hunting camp.
Yeah.
They hunt and fish. They went to Africa on a safari together. I think as I grew up, I kind of looked at the priest as, oh, that's an old guy, and I don't want to be an old guy,
Yeah.
But we've got so many young priests out there.
Or could it be at our age?
Yeah,
They're
that,
looking-
yeah. But the young people are realizing that it's not a bad job
Yeah.
being a priest.
Yeah.
That these guys have fun.
Yeah. And I would hope that they would see that and understand that these are just men
They're just men.
who've got a call from the Lord,
Yes.
and they're going to be ordained to the Church of Christ, the Catholic Church.
They'll
But
play
they
ball.
still have,
They'll do it. They'll play guitar with. They'll sing with the kids.
Yeah.
They'll hunt. They'll fish. They'll golf.
yeah.
They're
And
just
the one
men.
thing I do want to clarify is their call is a vocation for life. There's no retiring.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Once you're a priest for life. That's really what it is. And so their vocation is so strong on these young men because they see the need for that, and they see the need for evangelization, like we're talking
And
about.
that's why the Knights of Columbus are so strong in supporting our knights.
Yeah.
And religious. We're with the religious sisters all the
Exactly.
time.
We talked about the Tootsie Roll. Before I want to talk about that, what started the Tootsie Rolls?
Oh, the Tootsie Roll started years and years ago. It's a drive. At one time it was called the MR drive, mentally retarded.
Okay.
You can't use that word
That's right.
anymore. So it's
That's right.
mentally impaired. All the monies that are collected from that go to our mentally impaired fund, and from that we will disperse the money to different facilities. Each council, 20% from what the council collects goes to the state.
Okay.
The rest of it stays with the council, and they disperse that money to different organizations that are dealing with the mentally impaired.
Okay.
The money that goes to the state, then we in turn disperse that. Some of it comes right back here to this diocese. We disperse that to different organizations. For example, St. Louis Center down in Chelsea, which deals with mentally impaired from 12 years old to 40-year-old.
Wow. Praise be to God.
It's a number of places like that.
Yeah.
Chelsea is, I've been there every year since I've been on the board. It's a hard place for people to visit because of the
Yeah.
level. But when you're down there, it inspires you.
Yeah.
You know, you really think of how blessed I am, how blessed my family is, and it makes you want to do more.
Yeah. And that really is the heart of the Knights. That really is the heart of the Knights, because you know they see the need.
We see the need.
I know you've ultrasound machines. You've given those to different clinics.
We have 30 here in the state of Michigan.
Isn't that wonderful?
And
for better neonatal care and everything else, that's a wonderful thing. And that's what a privilege it is to be able to do that for the love of the Lord and for the love of our fellow human being. And that's really that's what I see in the Knights. I see this beautiful organization, this fraternity of men who really have said, you know what, we need to do more for the community.
And that's my goal, is to turn these men to a faith life.
Yeah.
You can have both. You can still go to soccer and baseball and football,
exactly.
But you need a faith life. You need a life with Jesus Christ.
Well, we need that faith as a catalyst for everything else we do.
We do.
And it can't be from Sunday to Sunday.
No.
I mean, it can't be you go on Sunday to church and then the rest of the week is without God. It's got to be this living.
Once we step out of our comfort zone, step out of our box,
Yeah.
and do something, it gets easier and easier.
Exactly.
I know when I started promoting my vision of what we need, it was hard. I was thinking, wow, you know, are they going to look at me? You know, but the more I do it, the more involved I get, the more excited I get,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering, why don't you understand what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
You know, we need to get this done.
Let me ask this quick question here, and we don't have a lot of time, but if you could say to the young men listening, what would you tell them about considering about the Knights?
Join, become active, bring your faith life. If the council does not have a program, start one. Be proud of who you are. Support your parish priest. It's a great organization, but you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, and I think that's important, what you just said. You're going to get out of it what you put into
Yes.
it. It's pretty much the way life is.
What you put in, you'll get back tenfold.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Well, you know, Bob, it's been a great conversation. Again, I know people see a lot of the Knights with the Tootsie Rolls, but they never understand what's going on behind the scenes. And you've really kind of enlightened us to what's transpiring within the Knights, the part we don't see. And I wish we did see more of that, because people would have a deep and profound appreciation for what you do. So
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you for doing that. It's a wonderful thing. I know you're in your last 2 years of your 10-year commitment as state deputy there, and that's a wonderful thing. So I'm going to continue to pray for the Knights of Columbus.
Great organization.
It's been a pleasure having you here, and
Thank you,
I
Deacon.
wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And as always, I want to thank our audience for viewing with us. And as always, we give all praise to Jesus Christ in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.